Jordan Rodgers.
Jordan, do you sing at all?
Oh, that's
Like, you sing well?
No, I don't. I sing passionately.
I like that. Like,
Yeah.
church would say, make a joyful noise. You do that, but you
I
don't
feel like
sing
I can sing like a good soundtrack. Really, like you give me a Aladdin soundtrack, I'll nail it.
But no, you never wanted to be a country singer or any kind of singer at all.
No.
I asked that because he's an athlete, he's good looking, he's talented. All those guys end up coming over here.
Oh, yeah.
Like Sam, we could Chase. They're all like superstars.
That is true. I didn't get that.
And I thought maybe Jordan's going to come in and announce his country music career today.
No, like I wanted to play drums in high school, so I got a drum set and I sucked. Never did it.
No music at all.
Well, I found my way in as a extra in an a cappella group in Pitch Perfect 2.
I saw that.
So technically, if you want to say I have sung on a #1 soundtrack on iTunes, I like to throw that one in there.
He's got a #1 record. Here he is.
There we go.
Thank you. There he is.
Thank you.
I want to talk about your show, The Big D, because very interesting because you're taking divorced couples and putting them together.
Yes.
And then it's like divorced couples, but also Temptation Island at the same time because they can also get with other people too.
It's all the islands of reality TV mixed together. Yeah.
How did they come to you about this show?
So we got pitched the idea, and our first reaction, me and JoJo, because at the time when we filmed, we were still engaged, about to get married. We're like, we're not divorced. We've never been divorced. We're about to get married. Are you sure we're the right ones? And as we kind of dove into their plan for the show, because we've done a few reality shows, I actually was really attracted to the craziness of it. We're reality TV show junkies. We love them all. So the train wreck of what you would expect when you move in a bunch of divorced couples into a villa. But we have a relationship coach there, and really the focus is kind of on closing a chapter, finding healing, dating again, getting to a place where you can have a healthy relationship with your ex, or a place where you're like, wait, maybe we ended this a little too soon. So we're the ones that are like, hey, this is a crazy TV show, but we fell in love on TV. I know it's weird, but it can work. So that was kind of how it happened. We're like, yeah, we'll do it. And it was really, really fun show. It's starting to get really good now. We're about halfway through the season. It's on Peacock, obviously streaming if you need to catch up. It's on USA Network every Wednesday night, but it's wild.
Wednesday nights at 9, so it was on last night, but you can also stream it on Peacock today. Amy's recently divorced. Any chance season 2?
Like, why was I sitting here thinking, like, oh, I'm about to get called out for this?
Well, no, it's
Does
not
that
called
sound
out.
like the worst thing? Like in your mind when you heard there's like, I would never do that.
No, I mean, I instantly went to, okay, wow, what if some of these couples don't have access to a therapist or a coach
Yeah.
and signing up for something like this?
Are you
is
the therapist on the
like
show?
No, but
Okay.
I will say a couple times I kind of had to be.
Right, you
Yeah,
got it.
like
I'm not
this
licensed.
is like a Hail Mary for them, and they have tools and resources, but of course, drama as well. But season 2 for me, no.
You're going to say no on that?
Well, no, because you have to be almost divorced, right? Or you're totally divorced.
Totally divorced. No,
and then
legally
you come
divorced.
back.
Yes.
So,
But you're right. Like the interesting part was seeing some of these couples, and we did the whole like they walked up on the beach to meet each other the first time, right? And
Did they know that they're going to see their divorced person?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
got
they
it.
knew that they were doing the show. We get into it. We add divorced couples because we bring singles in. They didn't know their ex was maybe going to come in. So the first group
Yeah, that's
knew.
what I'm saying. Oh, got it.
The
got
second
it.
group did not know that their ex was going to show up. But what I love is a couple of the singles divorcees showed up and they were like, I want nothing to do with you. We're good, but like I'm single. I'm ready to date. And then you start to see that little bickering and they realize that, wait, like, why did we divorce? Like that wasn't that big of a deal. We just didn't know how to talk through this issue. Or one of the couples, one of my favorites, Devin and Alexa, were divorced for years, and their mom was really heavily involved, probably too involved in their relationship. And they start to talk that through and realize we weren't really the issue. It was kind of the outside noise that got to our relationship, and they're starting to figure out maybe it's not over yet.
So you're saying that there's a chance that some people get back together? There's
Yes.
a chance. There's a chance.
yeah,
Yep.
Wow. And they've been divorced for years.
Years.
Did some of them have kids?
Yes.
Wow.
Amy.
That's cool.
You get some of your stuff back.
Yeah.
Half of it.
I know.
The other half.
Okay, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I did lose half. It makes me think too, like as a kid, I come from a divorced home and
What if your parents went on this show?
yes,
That would be weird, right? If you're like 14 and your parents are...
right. Like I would be mortified, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like that's all we ever wanted. Like me and my sister, when we were little, we would just be like, oh my God, it'd be so cool if like mom and dad got back together, and like how cool if this helps someone make that happen.
No doubt. And I'm just, maybe a little teaser, but it's happening right now. If you're looking into watching, tune in because there is love brewing with a rekindled relationship.
You know what else this makes me think of? People watching. And so if they're watching couples on TV be able to come back together and work, like they may not even have to go on this show to have that happen. It may make them be like, maybe I should, like, maybe we could book a counseling session, or let's go to therapy, or like maybe we need to revisit this.
Yeah, you're acting like people watching USA reality TV is going to make a really wise decision about counseling.
Well, okay, or calling their,
Yeah,
or it makes them think
maybe.
like,
I like
we
it.
fought over something silly like
it.
that. And
I do that. Me and JoJo sit and watch reality TV, and we're like, oh,
yeah, but do you ever go,
actually-
we should really get with a therapist after you're watching? I say that, but listen.
Well, I mean, it might. I'm just saying it might rekindle other
I like
people,
it.
like
It's a positive attitude.
and they don't have to go on the show.
Amen.
I think most of the time we sit there and go, yeah, we're not that bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why you watch it, to go like, oh, I'll never do that. Or I'd be so much better at that than them. Like that's why we watch reality TV.
Totally.
So by the way, everybody, it's Wednesdays at 9 Central on USA Network. Streams on Peacock. The episode from last night is up today. Let me ask about this, because you went to Costa Rica, and I just want to compare because I'm about to be really irritated. I did a show for USA. We went to Costa Rica. We lived there for 6 weeks, and it was in the middle of COVID. We lived in a terrible hotel. We had to live with all the crew. It was awful. It was Mike D went. We did the radio show from there every day. Awful. Please tell me your experience was awful.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, we're good. We'll move on.
right.
Now I'm about to get real upset.
Yeah, we were excited too, but it was still COVID. It was
Yeah.
2021, late 21. So we were locked in the hotel, and we weren't in the hotel. We were at the kind of like house across from the cast house where we kind of had the setup, and we couldn't
So it
really
wasn't
do
super
much.
fun because
It was fun.
You were kind of miserable.
A little bit.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank God. Yeah. Makes me feel good that he was also kind of miserable.
But also because we were so confined, Dr. Jada, the relationship coach on the show, we got our therapy. We get every single day. If she decided to send me a bill for that, I probably couldn't afford
So
it.
you guys utilized her because she was there too?
Yeah, we're
That's
just in the
awesome.
green room
Awesome.
talking, and we're like, "Hey, we're about to get married," and JoJo would be like, "Hey, so Jordan, he's not a good communicator." What?
Costa Rica's awesome though.
It
The
is.
people are so nice, and I haven't spent a lot of time in South America, and we flew down, and there were people on the streets with machine guns, and it scared me at first because I thought, what's going to happen here? I realized, first of all, they don't have a military in Costa Rica. They're a friendly country, no military, but they're just trying to stop cars coming through running drugs. They're not trying to stop us. They're trying. If people
I
are-
remember seeing the trucks like in the back
Yeah.
of the pickups and the guys, and I'm like, "Whoa!"
And I'm like, what's about to happen here? But it was really because people were driving from, Panama going up through Costa Rica, and they were just trying to stop those cars that were running drugs, which the people were so nice. I just remember we stayed at what hotel? Hilton Garden Inn by the airport.
Oh, wow.
Not really what you want to do in Costa
Yeah.
Rica, because it's not the experience that you really are told about.
What's their saying? Like,
Pura vida.
Pura
Oh, yeah.
vida.
All right,
Pura
as a
vida.
really white guy from Arkansas says, Pura Vida. Yes, Pura Vida. You guys watch the Big D, which, by the way, when they tell you that's the name of the show, you giggle a little bit, right?
I did,
Okay,
yeah.
just making sure.
Well, I honestly had not heard of it yet. And when you sat down, Bobby's like, so you're hosting the Big D. And I was like, I didn't know it was before.
Well,
I was like, what show is
The best
this?
was, if I can have a 10-second story, the best was we did an Instagram live kind of promoting the show a few weeks ago. And when someone pops up in your thread and they want to join, and so a name pops up, Dr. Jada wants to join. We're like, hey, we're talking about the show. Yeah, let's bring her in. Brought her in, and it was a naked dude that had hijacked our Instagram live and was dancing everything right in front of the camera. So great built-in marketing for the
So
Big D.
was the Big D or the Little D jumping in?
The marketing was on point.
Was it the Little?
Oh,
The
wow.
Big D was
It was the Big D. Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. USA probably set that up.
And we learned a lot about our relationship because I froze and JoJo's like, oh, wait, how do I get this out? How do I get this out?
So people that are on a live, when it gets, flashed like that, I guess, what do you call it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyone watching, they all see, so if
Yes.
there's like kids on there
Yes.
or
Dang.
that is
And we found out this
Crazy.
person is like a serial, does this and
So he
like
hacked
makes
someone's
fake names
account and then-
somehow. Don't know how he does it.
Or did he create a fake account that's almost like Dr. Jada?
I think that's what he does. And we're just in the moment, see it. All you see is like the name, like, oh, yeah, bring her in.
It said Dr. Jada, definitely, parentheses, definitely not a
That
guy's
is
wiener.
not
And he's
Dr.
like,
Jada.
all right, I'm clicking
Yeah.
that one. So you have like the greatest job because you get to do shows like this, but you also get to work for ESPN.
Yeah.
And you get to, I watch all of them, and I was watching you fly in once, and I guess you guys had a sponsorship with
Wheels up, yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, and now flying in, were you really on the plane they were filming, or are they just filming that?
No,
Yeah, they're like, here's Jordan flying in on wheel, and they're showing the plane land.
Sometimes not, but you're talking about at Arkansas, right?
Probably.
Yeah, so in Arkansas, the tightest turnaround I've ever had, because we finished our show at noon, I had a 3:30 kick something in Arkansas. I landed at like 2:47. And where you land is, I can see the stadium.
Right.
So that one, they actually were filming the plane because they were like, is he going to make it? Like, I had to like quick change in the plane and go straight to the stadium, straight to the field, and we kicked.
How is that going into a game with all the knowledge you need to have about that week's game versus all the knowledge you needed to have while you were playing a game?
Very similar. Not quite, right? There's a lot more pressure when you're getting hit. But I will say the thing I like about calling games on TV is that, to me, I kind of get a little bit of that rush again because I'm prepping for all this stuff and I don't know what's going to happen. So I kind of get to react as things happen. There's an anticipation for me, but I appreciate that I don't wake up on Sunday with, in pain and getting hit every day when I make a mistake. So I make a lot of mistakes on TV and people just hit me on Twitter, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, have you had any clips go viral where
come on.
you have said something dumb?
Yes.
Because I've had 10 million, but I wonder, do they still live? And what's the one you're most embarrassed about?
Yeah, one is still making the rounds from last year. So we did a South Carolina game in Columbia, and they had, at the same time, they have the state fair right there, literally almost outside the stadium. And so kind of the whole show or the whole game, our truck is kind of doing cutaways of the carnivals and the food and everything. And they're doing like a pan of these giant corn dogs. And kind of in I thought I was being funny, but I don't think it landed that. I was like, oh, talk to me, dirty corn dog. In that voice, too.
What were you thinking?
Kind of not remembering I'm on ESPN. Like, what are we doing here? So that one lives forever, but also we ended up running food up to the booth, and on our little peep cam in the booth, I have just a giant foot-long corn dog. And let me tell you, there's no graceful way to go at that first bite.
Yeah, it's tough. Anything I've
So
learned
that
too,
lives on the internet forever as well.
if you open your mouth real wide for anything that's a bit phallic, they can
did.
Photoshop anything in.
I did. So
Yeah.
now they meshed together the talk
Right.
to me dirty corn dog and then that shot, and
Yeah.
there
That's
you
tough.
go.
It's a gift.
That'll live forever. People don't forget.
What's the preparation before you do a game? What are you actually learning other than the players' names?
So I'm just a junkie for football. I love it. So in talking to coaches, they don't give you much, right? They give you a little bit. So I like to just watch games. I kind of understand the concepts that maybe a team will want to run, what they're good at, and then I understand the defense as well. So in my mind, I'm trying to prepare like a coach. Arkansas is good at this. What is this defense going to run to stop that? And then so in the game, I kind of want to show that to fans. Like, here's what this defense is going to have to do to stop KJ Jefferson on this play, this type of play. Whether they're doing it or not, I'm going to tee that up and then let the game kind of take over. So I treat it like I'm a coach because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to prepping like that. So it is a lot of, you got to make sure you know everybody's name because someone's mom and dad are watching. And if they get a catch, they want to make sure you say their name and have a little something about them. So that's part of it. But also I like my job on TV. I hope I teach a little bit of football. I don't want to talk like a PhD, but I want to teach a little bit of football so people that are watching kind of go, oh, that's why they did that, or oh, that's what that's called.
When you're quarterback at a Division I school like Vanderbilt in the SEC and you're just walking around campus, is life awesome? Because I just got to imagine.
Well,
when you are the quarterback and you look like you do, and I would just imagine life's like the greatest.
well, you've been in Nashville for a while, right?
I have, but still.
Vandy's hasn't been great. So I will say other schools may have been cooler. It was still, we did well when I was at Vandy, so it was fun. But I will say it's academics and sports. At least it was back then. So yeah. But it's not like Alabama walking around as the quarterback, Bama Bangs and all.
When you went to Vandy, so you went to junior college before
Yeah.
Vandy. When you were deciding on where to go, did you have other offers, like
Yeah, I
Division
did.
I offer? Why did you pick Vanderbilt?
So I picked Vandy because they were really bad, and I was like, I want to go to a bad team in the SEC. I had aspirations of wanting to play in the NFL, and I was like, where can I go that I can show that I can play at that level? Like I had other offers to go play in other conferences, and I was like, I want to go play against the best, because even if we're a bad team, but I show that like I can play against SEC defenses, I can have some success, then I think that'll give me the best opportunity to play at the next level. So. And then Nashville, I visited, and Nashville wasn't bad. So I was like, this will be fun. I'd lived at home in junior college. So I was ready to get out.
Where did you almost go?
So Washington was on the table late, and then smaller schools like Western Kentucky was on the table, and there was a couple others, MAC schools that were there that had good opportunities. I will say Vandy wasn't the best opportunity because they had a starting quarterback. But I was like, we'll see.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you have a winning record at Vandy when you were here?
Yeah, we won
you're
9
acting like
games.
you weren't. Right.
9 games for the first time in 97 years at Vandy when we were there. So it was fun. We got a chance to do something
That's what I'm
that
saying.
had never
He's
been
also
done.
winning. He's the quarterback. They're winning. You just like have it. So why in the world? And I say this as somebody who's done it as well. So I ask you this in the most complimentary way. Why would you go on The Bachelorette?
It's a great question.
Because your life is just going in a great. It looks like it's all happening for you. Why would you do that?
It was the most. I'm very spontaneous. It was honestly the most spur of the moment decision I've ever made. And I wasn't someone that watched the show. I'd never watched. I knew what it was obviously because I dated people. That, oh, hey, The Bachelorette's on, cool. But I literally got a call from a producer. Oh, this is actually a good story. They start filming like in the middle of March. End of February, I get a call from my agent, my sports agent, because I was doing radio at the time, hadn't been doing TV yet. She's like, hey, Fox is doing a dating show. They kind of want an ex-athlete. Would you be interested? I'm like, maybe. I'm single. Give me some information. A couple weeks later or a week later, my agent calls. Yeah, they went with someone else. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. A producer on that show was married to a producer on The Bachelorette, so they passed my name along. I got a call from a guy named Bennett, who's one of the executive producers on The Bachelor. And he's like, hey, have you ever heard of the show? Yeah. He's like, well, are you single? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I got a pretty cool girl. You could come and it could be fun for a couple weeks. And at the worst, you get to travel a little bit and have fun. I'm like, all right, sounds fun. Like, I'll do it. So I didn't go through any of the casting. They fly 55 guys out in January, cut it down to 25. I was a part of none of that. None of that. I said a week before we started filming, sure, I'll show up.
And then you get there and there are all these other dudes. Because even if you don't know the show, you then learn the show kind of quick.
Yeah.
Because I'd never, when I did Dancing with the Stars, I never watched the show except for like little clips. But then I tried to even study it, right?
Yeah.
So, but you get there and do you strategize? And also, are they intimidated by you? Because, again, you were just freaking starting quarterback at Vanderbilt. I would have been intimidated.
I will say, the intimidating part is you walk into the mansion night one, right? And I was actually one of the last limos. Even though on the show I'm the first one to step out, I was in the last limo. So everybody was already there when I showed up. I was one of the very last ones. You walk in, you look around, and you go, it's a bunch of good-looking dudes. You know what I mean? And so the strategy.
I film this room every day with all you guys.
Yeah.
That's how I feel every day. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the strategy I wasn't like strategizing, but I started to notice that everyone was like panicking for time and attention. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the one that kind of just sits back and just waits. And I found that if I waited, especially in these big group environments, for the last opportunity to talk to her, I got the most time. Because it was kind of, they weren't trying to make sure everyone had time. So I would kind of just sit around and wait. But also JoJo got pissed because she's like, this guy doesn't even like me. He doesn't even want to spend time with me. He doesn't even care. He's not, coming to find me. And I'm just like, hey, I'll wait. I'll sit and wait my turn. But it actually ended up working pretty well. So I'd say that was kind of the strategy that I had, is just like, don't be over eager, because I think it came off like kind of bad.
What's been cool about your career is I don't even think about you as being a Bachelorette person. I mean, and everybody you kind of assigned to something, but you've been able to do so many things successfully. It's like some of these artists that come in that have blown up on TikTok, but then they've really launched a career outside of that to show that they are like, I don't really think you as the Bachelorette dude.
I appreciate that. You're in the minority.
Really?
Well,
I guess I watch a lot of sports, so I guess I just see. But most people know you as that.
I think so. Still, yeah.
That's how.
I'm big D guy. I'm big D. There's
I know.
Jordan for the big D when I see him.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't think it's bad. I don't know that but you seem to have like some that we know. It's like they're holding on tight to it. Like they need it. Like they're like, oh, this is like my last like claim to fame, even though they were on it years ago and they haven't really done much else. But I don't know. I see you
you're
as
saying
like,
he's the only one with talent ever on the show? I agree.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
But
I think there's women and men that have been a part of
Yeah.
it that have like, they're clearly talented outside of just trying to get on there. And you didn't even have to fill out an application. Like they sought you out. What percentage
They did the STD test on you though?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I didn't even do the STD test.
Everything. And I'm kind of like, wait, actually, maybe I should watch this show. What am I doing? What am I signing up for?
Well, what percentage of the guys there? Like, I'm thinking if I'm a guy that filled out an application, like really wanted to be there, and I find out this guy comes in last minute, and
But I don't think you talk about applications. When you're
Yeah,
there.
I don't think they knew that.
Yeah. How many pages you fill in your application, John? It's 3. What about you? None. I don't think that conversation happens.
I know it probably doesn't. Did they find out now that you were brought in last minute by well, obviously this story's out there, but you know what I mean? Like that would be.
Yeah, I don't know that guys. I don't know we'd care.
Oh, well, I would think they would be favoring you because they're like, oh, we got this guy.
I just always think how crazy that is, right? I mean, it's my wife now, right? I mean, it's weird. Like every now and then we'll just be sitting and go watching a show. We met doing something like this. Like,
cool.
How dumb is that?
Can you see when people come up to you? I can always tell if it's somebody who listens to the radio show or watched American Idol or dance. This is an age and demographic for whom. Can you tell when they're coming up what they know you from?
100%. Yeah, and it's mostly it's interesting because the guy. It's interesting to watch the 30, 40-year-old man that his wife is not with him, but he's like, hey, my can I get a picture for my wife? And it's really funny, but there's definitely a demographic. When I'm traveling for football, it's still about 90% of people that are like, I saw you on The Bachelorette.
That's crazy. It's still that.
Yeah. Well, and they're like, oh, well, I see you on football too, but I know you from The Bachelorette. I'm like, that's awesome.
What's been the key? Because you guys were both public. You still are both public, but what's been the key to having a successful relationship and then marriage when everything is public and what to keep private? Like, what have you guys prioritized?
That was the hardest part. I mean, we were very open that our first year was bad. Like we just, you come off a show, and what people don't realize about that show is you are never not on camera. Like you don't get any conversations that aren't on camera. So you have to make sure you're authentic. But I think we never had to go through adversity on a reality show. We never had to get back to real life and have a bad day and then figure out how to have a conversation after that. So our first year, we just didn't know how to communicate. So we would be in an argument and we're speaking different languages and it would just escalate. And then we'd just be like, oh, okay, let's move on, forget about that and try to go look like we're happy. Because you're under a spotlight where everyone's expecting you to be happy all the time and have this amazing relationship. So there was a lot of pressure to go hey, we're working through a lot of stuff, but we need to look happy, right? Because we don't want to let people down. There was a weird pressure about that. So I think we got to a point about a year in where we're like, F this. We either got to do this because we want to be together, and not that we were staying together because of anything, but it's just we got to actually work at this. It's not just going to be brushing stuff under the rug. We got to lean in, work at this relationship, or I love you, you love me. It's just not going to work. And so we kind of chose the first path and said, okay, it's going to take work. It's going to take a realization that we're not perfect and that we have a lot of issues that we just need to address head on instead of going, hey, we're happy, hey, photo op, cool. So that was kind of how we did it. We were like, hey, we're going to be more open about the fact that it's not easy and it's not all rainbows and butterflies after a reality show. It's actually very hard. You're in a spotlight. You're not prepared for it. So I think just the realization internally and then also just not being afraid to say that was big.
Hard for me, and my wife is a very private person, but it was hard for us to. I've been married 2 years, never been married before, never been engaged. So it is work. I never understood when people said it is work to be married. For me, it's work to remember to put someone at least equal, if not more than myself. Because I've been so, and I'll just use the word selfish because I've just been I've been the sun in the solar system, my own solar system.
Right.
It is such a shift to not be it anymore. It's worth it, but sometimes it is work for me to have that understanding of your life is different. We don't have kids yet.
Yeah.
You guys,
No.
and I imagine that happens again once kids come out. But it's been hard, but in the best way. In the same way, you can't see him now with a big sweatshirt on, but I have huge biceps, right? Then those curls, they were hard to do, but those muscles got big. But I never really understood the work part of it until I actually got married. And I can imagine when you're both coming off of something so public, there is that pressure to not show that it's hard.
No doubt. And because when you come off the show, we're not that cool anymore. People come up when we're traveling and say hi, but there's paparazzi and stuff that first year, outside of our house. And so if I was taking the trash out and I looked like that, there'd be an article. We're in the grocery store, walking out of the grocery store. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
So we felt like we were putting out a facade that wasn't an accurate representation of the struggles we were still going through.
Where do you guys live? What town? What city?
We actually live in Puerto Rico right now. So we live in Dorado Beach.
Really? That's
Yeah.
why he relate to Arkansas, bro. That's a long way. He didn't know how far.
Yeah.
He missed his flight. He missed his connector. So you live. How
Yeah.
does that work?
It's great. We were in Dallas, and in the middle of COVID, kind of a lot of our friend group had moved away, and I travel during football. She has family down in Puerto Rico, so I was like, let's just go rent a place month to month. At worst, you're near family. We'll have to travel a ton, and it's little. We can be outdoors
Her
more.
family's where again?
In Puerto Rico,
Got it.
yeah. Both of her brothers live down
That
there.
makes sense.
Yeah, and so we moved down there, and we loved it. And we're like, hey, until we have some kids and we want to settle down, like this is going to be a good spot. But we'll end up here in Nashville at some point. We have some land here, so we'd like to build a house here eventually, and kind of put our roots here.
That's pretty cool. I was just thinking, when we moved, I wanted to live somewhat closest to the airport because I travel so much. But you travel to a lot of these southeastern
Not
towns.
easy to get to.
Yeah, and like he's going to Columbia, South Carolina from Puerto Rico. There
Yeah.
are no Southwests, boys.
Nope.
I don't know if you're familiar with how that works.
So it makes the travel during football season a little bit longer. But again, I can't complain. Like football season is 5 months, and the rest of the year we do a lot of other projects, but it's not as travel intensive, and we're together 24/7 most of the time. We do a lot of work together. So
Remove my bias, so don't answer this question for me. Who is your favorite head coach, SEC, to hang out with? Not best coach, but like if you were going to go to dinner and they were like, hey, pick any coach, you guys just go hang out for an hour. Who would it be?
Ooh, it would probably be, rest in peace, Mike Leach. Like Mike was one of the best to be around. Like just because you never knew where the conversation was going to go. But I'd probably say Beamer's pretty fun. Shane Beamer, South Carolina is pretty fun. Just he's quirky and he's got a great personality. Lane's pretty fun as well.
I think Lane.
You got to peel back the layers of Lane though. You know what I mean? You got to get him comfortable, and then he starts to open up a little bit.
What is Nick Saban like in person?
Nick's great in person, but he's just like there's an aura around him. Like he's the GOAT. So he's great in person, but he's business. He's got a cup of coffee, wants to talk football, and then you're good. Well, I will say, okay, Sam is one of my favorite coaches as well.
Sam Pittman at Arkansas.
Yeah, Sam Pittman.
My uncle.
He would be the best to go get a beer with, no doubt. Actually, now that I think about it, totally, Sam's the man.
A lot of money, a lot of pressure to be a head coach, especially in the SEC. Which of these coaches who is the most hands-on as far as they're in these meetings, offensively or defensively? And who's a CEO, the best CEO? Like, give me because Mac Brown was an excellent CEO type at Texas. Like, he knew how to run that program. Last time Texas has been really good.
Yeah.
And so, but he was very much that CEO type guy. Give me both of those. Like, who's great at CEOing and who's great at being hands-on and really getting granular with the team?
I think Brian Kelly's a really, really good CEO. I mean, he's done it for a really long time.
At LSU.
Yeah, at LSU. And he's hired good staff around him. So he is definitely a guy that you just sit and you realize he has the 30,000-foot view for everything in his program. And he's willing to get down in the nitty-gritty when he needs to, but he is the guy that tells the ship which direction they're going and makes sure it's going in that direction at every level. So he's definitely a CEO type. As far as a more X's and O's guy.
And maybe it's somebody who even calls plays still offensive. You know, like it's an offensive guy who still calls plays.
Yeah, Josh Heupel is a guy that he is becoming more of a CEO because I think he's realizing what that takes at Tennessee, but he's still he just wants to talk offensive ball. And so he's a fun one to sit down with because he lives and breathes offense and he just loves it. And that's all he wants to do. And if he could just call plays, he'd probably just call plays. Just so happens he's a great head coach and he's got other responsibilities.
My wife's a massive Oklahoma fan. Her family is, and they get to come over to the SEC next year, which I'm very excited about because that just means we get to play the same teams and get to play each other occasionally, right? Mm-hmm. Josh Heupel was her favorite player growing up. She loved Josh Heupel, and Josh Heupel got fired at Oklahoma as the offensive coordinator under Stoops, and Josh Heupel is now at Tennessee after being at UCLA. But he's at Tennessee, and Oklahoma is now going to be in the SEC. That is interesting because if you are a player and you have your allegiance, and you played and you won at Oklahoma, and you coached, but then you got fired, how does he feel? This is just your opinion. How does he feel about playing those guys? Does he want to kick the crap out of them? Or is it like, man, this is awesome. I get to go back into Norman, back to the people that made me?
I think it's both. I think you're able to kind of separate, right? Because as a coach, when you've been at so many different programs, you've played, and your allegiance is initially to where you play, I believe. And it probably still is deep down for a guy like Josh Heupel. I think you end up wanting to dominate and win in those games. And because really you're not coaching and playing as much for the logo and the university as you are for the guys. So as a head coach, like you end up having so much invested in these kids, right? These 18, 19-year-olds that like, that's really why you want to go beat your alma mater. Not because it's your alma mater and there's bad blood. I think you still have like a deep allegiance to it, but you end up just doing it for the guys that you spend 99% of your day with, because those coaches spend more time with those players than they do their family. Coaching's tough. Like you have 0 hours.
You ever want to do that?
Part of me, yes, but I've also been so close to it now that I'm realized that it would take the perfect scenario. If I live back here in Nashville and there's an opportunity to go coach quarterbacks at Vandy, like that is something where
Clark
if I
Lee?
live there, I've already told Clark.
Lee? Oh,
I already told Clark, because hey, in a couple years, just I'll be here and I may be ready to step onto that side. I did have an offer a couple years ago as a position coach, but I like what I do on TV now, and I like the flexibility it allows me to do other things. At some point, yes, that could be something I'd like to do.
God, you have such a great job. Like, I'm jealous of your job. Do you get paychecks every week or only 5 months during football season?
Every week.
Nah, he's got a salary too, boys.
Wow.
Eat it up.
Well, that's kind of, I mean, when you play in the NFL, and I was only a practice squad guy, so I wasn't making big money, but you realize like, oh, wow, these paychecks are awesome, and then they stop in December, and you're like, wait, I get zero until August? Wait a minute.
Being on a practice squad in the NFL, are you basically learning what every team you're playing that week's quarterback is doing, and you have to mimic that?
Yeah. So I was in Tampa in 2013. A guy I work with now, Dan Orlovsky, was a quarterback there as well, and Mike Glennon. And it was my job, because Dan's a big, tall, unathletic guy. I'm a shorter, athletic guy. So when we played like Russell Wilson, I was Russell Wilson. We played Cam Newton that year when he was in North Carolina, he was with the Panthers. I don't look like Cam Newton, but I could run around a little bit. So yeah, you kind of just mimic whatever quarterback you're playing. But that year we were injured at receiver, so I ended up playing receiver for our scout team, running routes against Darrelle Revis. I was like, wow, yeah, I'm not as athletic as I thought I was.
So Darrelle Revis was locking you down in practice?
Yeah, it was legit.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I caught
that's
one
an
ball
awesome
on him.
story. Did anybody get it? I'd be like, hey, take a picture of me.
Yeah.
Lined up. Do you have a picture of Darrelle Revis?
Unfortunately, no.
Man,
I was like kind of too scared of that point. I'm just a scout team quarterback.
Wait, how tall are you?
I'm just under 6'2". I'm like 6'1".
Oh.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
Because you said he was considered like, what? I don't know if you said little or small.
Shorter, yeah.
Shorter.
For a quarterback, totally.
That's the big D. Relax.
Yeah,
Big
hey.
D, man.
I know. I just didn't know, because I mean, yeah, some of these athletes, you just see them on TV.
Yeah.
So I can't, and you hear like in real life, they look tall or big or huge, and like you seem tall, but you're saying you're small.
Yeah.
The cat in the hat. I am, Sam, I am. Yes.
In that same vein, I was pleasantly surprised at just Ryan Gosling is a normal sized guy. You know, actors you never know. Stood next to him the other day. I was like, wow.
Did people say you look like him?
No.
Just now, I just see it. Does anybody else see it?
Not really. No.
Our eyes are kind of close together. That's
Were you at the
similar.
Barbie premiere or something? Were you really?
Yeah, and he's just a good looking dude.
Did you watch it, the movie?
Yeah, we watched it.
And?
It was good. It was fun. You know what I liked about it is that it was kind of self-deprecating in a way, just because it was they acknowledged
kind of made
the
fun of
point
themselves?
that they're Barbies, so it was fun.
All right, final few questions here. Question number 1, who wins the SEC East, and why is it going to be South Carolina?
Oh, it's not going to be South Carolina. It could be. I think that week 3, I think it is, game against Georgia is going to be interesting. Do love South Carolina. It's going to be Georgia. They're just too good.
Even Tennessee. You go Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina?
Yes, just because I think Georgia's going to lose one. I don't know. Tennessee has every opportunity, but I'm going to go with Georgia sitting here right now.
And over in the West, it's probably still going to be Alabama again.
I got
or does
LSU.
Really?
Yeah,
That
Alabama's
quick. He turns the program around that quick.
Alabama is good. They're deep at every position. They don't have the superstars on offense that they're used to having, and their quarterback position is going to take a step back. They're going to be fine. They're going to be good, but I think LSU has everybody back, especially on offense. So I think they're going to get the West.
Has Saban lost his edge?
No.
Are other people's edges just sharper then?
Yeah,
Kirby Smart, sharper edge?
I mean, we're mad at Saban because he's only won a national championship every other year, essentially, averaging over the last 6 or 7 years. No. I just think NIL is changing things, right? It's easier to now pay kids and get them there as opposed to just going, hey, we're Alabama. So that's evening things out a little bit.
Are there rules against you participating in NIL? Let's say you wanted to have a kid at Vanderbilt or any school.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, hey, I want you to promote my show, The Big D. Could you pay them? Or
I believe so. Yeah, I think I could.
Because I do a lot of NIL with Arkansas kids.
Totally.
But I'm also not working in Sports or ESPN. So
Yeah, it's weird. It's probably like a gray area, like maybe it's frowned upon, but
Bobby, 25 whistles.
yeah, but that's a podcast, and it's sponsored by DraftKings, and they're just kind of like, do your thing. You know? Yeah, it's not ESPN because if he's calling the game,
I got it. Yeah.
and he's got a player on the Georgia defensive line.
yeah, that's true.
That makes
like
sense.
I said, I don't think it's illegal for me, but I think they'd probably say, maybe not.
Yeah, I stay away from stuff where I'm like, I don't think it's illegal, but if it's on that line. Okay, so The Big D airs Wednesdays. It aired last night, but you can watch it on Peacock today. Jordan Rodgers. And you're here for SEC Media Days.
Yeah.
So what do? You just talk to everybody, get as much.
Yeah, a bunch of radio opportunities. Coaches and players are here, so we have a set over there. We'll interview some of them and just talk football like we know what's going to happen in a month or two when we don't.
Do you want? Here's the option. When last time we had a guest here, because you were kind enough to did you Uber up here.
Yeah.
Now Lunchbox can drive you back to your hotel.
Yeah, I could.
He drove.
He
Richard,
goes, I could.
He drove Richard Marks back to his hotel.
Wait, in what car though?
But in my car.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is
he picked him up and dropped him off.
right. And so the thing is, I gotta take some stuff back. You ever been? What's that place called where you buy like salt shakers and stuff?
Huh?
It's like way expensive. I have
Williams
no idea.
Sonoma.
Salt shaker. Oh, great. Love Williams.
Went to Williams Sonoma.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I walked out of there. I didn't know the salt shaker costs $100. I got a salt shaker and there's $100 that I take back today. So if you do take them, you got to put that in the back seat.
Oh, I got to take it to Williams Sonoma.
No, you don't take it back. I'm taking it back today.
Best
I was
is
like, come on
Williams
now.
Sonoma in the winter when they get the peppermint chocolate bark, and then they have like the apple cider taster spots.
I never even been in there. I can't believe this stuff was that expensive.
Oh, you should go in. It's nice.
I did
They do
go
have
in. I bought a salt shaker for $100.
Oh, okay.
When you enjoy that is a definite like marker in your life. It goes, oh yeah, I made it to that point where I love going in Williams Sonoma.
There is no salt shaker that should cost $100.
What does it do?
Shake salt.
Wait, does
Is it crack?
Is it the automatic one when you like flip it and it
There's
comes
like
out?
a motor in it.
Yes, love
I don't
that.
need that.
Well, wait,
no,
I mean,
it's not cool. I'm taking
no,
it
I
back.
love that.
Let
I'll
us
take
see
it.
it. Maybe we'll buy it.
Hey,
from
maybe
you.
I'll give it to him as a gift.
I'll give you $60
That's
for
his.
it.
That's his Derek Jeter goodbye.
Yeah, like he
deal.
gets a salt shaker.
Okay, Jordan Rodgers. You guys follow Jordan on Instagram. JRodgers11. Killing on ESPN, SEC Network, and also the Big D. Jordan, thank you for your time, man. Really
Appreciate it,
There he is, Jordan Rodgers, everybody.
It's a Bobby Bones Show.